seemed to be working. Whether it was the right game plan or not, they stuck to it in the first half at 0-0. You thought we were in the game. Started the second half with a few chances, attacking intent. But Leicester were always dangerous. We were always playing dangerously at the back. As soon as they went ahead, you felt for us, really. You felt that we wouldn't be able to get back into it. That's the way it proved. Leicester scored the second in the last 10 minutes. If anyone was going to score, it would be Leicester scoring the third rather than Arsenal scoring. And I think that sums up the afternoon, really.
No doubt about that. Much more social media reaction chat from Nigel and Johnny as well. Nick, all yours, full time. Leicester 2, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, thank you very much, lads. Safe journey home. Yeah, welcome back to the Emirates Stadium then with me, Johnny Cochrane and Nigel Winterburn still with me. Disappointed and dejected, I'm guessing. But let's get your initial thoughts for that second half and that match in general, Nigel.
Well, it's as I was nervous at half-time. I just don't like us sitting deep. I understand what Johnny's saying. We want to sit deep to try and counter-attack. But I don't trust, as a team, that we can sit deep for 90 minutes and stop the opportunities coming. So, to me, if you can't do that, you might as well try and be a bit more on the front foot, push up a little bit more. If you're going to lose chances, at least try and... how do you counteract that? Try and create more chances, because that seems the only way we're going to be able to win at the moment. And I just felt we sat too deep. A lot of people were saying, yeah, but it was all right for a long period of time. Well, yeah, it was all right for a long period of time, but we still end up losing 2-0. And when we go a goal behind, it's so hard to then mentally, you've sat so deep, then you've got to try and open up a little bit. And when you open up, you know, you're then counter-attack against the opposite way against you. So it's, you know, when I say press a little bit higher, I don't mean press and be wide open. I mean, at times you can press and then drop a little bit. It's not. I just feel we sat too deep.
Yeah.
We invited Leicester onto us. Maybe I'm just frustrated because this is not what I see from an Arsenal team.
I wanted to bring up the point, actually, that, Johnny, you guys had a... not disagreement, sounds like you had an argument. We're not being that dramatic here, but you just disagreed on a certain thing before the game started, and that was, Johnny, you wanted us to sit deep and try and soak up some of the pressure and then hit them on the break. Nigel, you were like, we can't do that, we don't want to do that. And it would appear, I'm not having to dig at you, Johnny, it would appear that Nigel was right. We tried to sit deep and soak up some of the pressure, and we did for the first half, but then second half, it proved to be too much.
Well, I wouldn't go that far in terms of, like, I think it did work to an extent. Yeah, obviously we've lost in the end, but you have to adapt through the game. Like, if you can get to 70 minutes, they haven't scored. We were in the ascendancy, and then you have to change and develop the way that you're playing. I wasn't necessarily saying that we should sit back, you know, scared in our shell for the whole game, but you have to weather the storm and then grow into it.
Yeah.
But, you know, look, it's hard to come up with any positives. If we're being honest, it's hard. Even, you know, I guess the only positives is the score wasn't completely embarrassing, but it's not very good football, is it, at the moment? It's just not very entertaining. We're trying to hang on, but not actually delivering the results at the end of it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if you look at it, they look better than us.
Yeah.
They do.
I think they deserve to win the game. If you look at it, if you look at the stats and the numbers involved, it all points to Leicester deserving the win. You on social media have been having your say about the goals that Leicester scored, the two that we conceded, of course. Eric saying it was a matter of time, poor marking and awareness from Arsenal, incredible one-touch execution of the passes from Leicester, I'm guessing. And Jay Rosario saying Vardy always scores against Arsenal. Plain as day, it was coming. I mean, I guess if we're looking for a crumb of comfort in the Arsenal Nation live studio, it is that Johnny, you have got Jamie Vardy in your fantasy team. So
I mean, I had to set it up that way, you know. So if the inevitable did happen today and Vardy did get his goals, then there was an upshoot to it, you know, bet against your own team and stuff like that. But no, I mean, it's a small.
You'd rather the Arsenal win, wouldn't you?
Of course. But to be honest, I think the kind of apathy that is coming, like, there's been games, particularly at the end of last year, I was really angry, I was frustrated, but at the moment, it just feels like we know what's coming, and that is
I agree.
Quite sad, really. There's no one shocked out there. No, they've not snatched a last-minute winner. We knew what was coming here. When you look at one shot on target, I mean, what's going on?
The fact is, when you look at it, we have nearly 2.5 years now of poor away form, and the frustration is growing because of the last 2 home games as well, where we've led and we've drew. I think we've been on Unai Emery last season at home. We were very strong. We might have said we weren't always great, but we managed to nick the wins. If you get the Palace win and a Wolves win, then you lose today. It still hurts, but it won't feel as damaging as what it's feeling now, because as I said to you, I just keep looking back at our away form and I'm thinking, when are we going to get on a run away from home where we're going to win 2 or 3 games on the trot? I'm sitting here and I'm so annoyed, and I'm thinking, I just don't see it coming. I can't see anywhere in the season where that's going to happen.
And we've got some tough games coming up as well, so doing it in the next few weeks is going to be difficult. We mentioned Jamie Vardy. He always scores against us, doesn't he? It has to be said. On social media, you've picked up on this theme as well. We've got one here saying Jamie Vardy's life mission is to ruin Arsenal. It's ruined our day in here, that's for sure. Mind blown as well, saying Vardy, goal against Arsenal. Was there ever any doubt? Nigel, why is it certain players seem to just have a knack of scoring against certain teams? What is it about Vardy and us?
Confidence, belief, desire. I mean, you see the way Vardy plays. He's all action. He's full of running all the time. And certain strikers have habits, as some of our top strikers have done in the past against teams. You just expect them to go on the pitch, and you know that they're going to score.
Yeah, Drogba was one, wasn't he?
I was going to say, a mate of mine said Vardy's the new Drogba to us. You know, he scores all the time. Rooney had a spell where he would do it every time against us. I think to maybe jump on that point a bit, some players, their strengths are set up to really damage other teams. Now, Vardy has all the abilities to play off of our weaknesses. His intensity, he's fast. Like, pace will bother any defence. But because he's intense and he's constantly moving, when we have a lack of organisation, he's going to always be in and around it.
Unsettles the defence.
It does. And he's a pest and a nuisance. So, yeah, he's a dangerous striker for us to,
usually
have to
when you
play
think
against.
of Vardy and playing against us, you think through balls, running onto maybe and scoring. Today was a good team goal for Leicester, but when you look at it from Arsenal's point of view, we had them pinned in, deep in our half on our left-hand side, and they make 1 or 2 little passes, and our midfield players don't track the run in behind. That's why I say when you sit deep, everybody's got to know 100% what they do. There's got to be loads of talking, and you've got to track the runners. We make the simple mistake of not tracking a runner. Once you don't track the runner, the ball goes, little cutback goal.
And that was it,
And then we're all now...
And we're us three in here fuming, as well as all the Arsenal fans out there, and I can imagine the Arsenal players as well. Right, I reckon we should have a look at the updated Premier League table then after this game and the weekend's results. Disappointing for us because we're now down in 6th below Sheffield United, which, I mean, you have to be fair, Sheffield United would be absolutely delighted with that newly promoted side there. We're 8 points off the top 4, which will probably be 9 points if Manchester City do the business against Liverpool tomorrow, but who knows, that's a massive game in itself. Looking at that there, do you think top 4 is... I mean, I'm not going to say it's gone because we're so far early in the season, you know, but it's disappointing. We've got a lot to do, haven't we, Johnny?
It's on the edge. It is teetering on the edge. There's no other way to look at it. I mean, let's not play around here or, you know, try to comfort ourselves too much. 9 points is not a small margin. And the thing is what you'd say at the moment is, where are we going to get those points back on the teams? We just played a team who've looked better than us. We need to go on a run that would see us overturn a 9-point haul. That's what's frustrating Arsenal fans at the moment. It's the, where's that run going to come from? Is it even going to come? I'm not so sure. You know, we're not playing with confidence at the moment. It's very hard to get that confidence back. But, yeah, I mean, something has to happen because we are a couple of bad results away from being detached, I think.
I think the frustrating thing from my point of view is we're so early into the season and there's so much negativity around. At the start of the season, we were thinking, even before the season started, we're looking, we haven't made any signings. You know, what's going to happen to this team? How's Unai Emery going to shape the team? Then all of a sudden, we make some signings and we go, we've spent a bit of money here. Like, potentially, the team looks okay. We've got some good aspirations of top 4. And we're 12 games in, and it's dwindling very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Unless we can turn this round dramatically, and one of those top 4 teams starts to wilt, we're playing massive catch-up, and we're now relying on other teams to falter. Already 12 games in.
The one thing I would say, though, Nigel, is I think what's different this year to last year, we did make some big signings this year, and I honestly look at our squad and I think that's a top 4 squad. We should be able to get in there with that squad. Last year, it was going to be a new manager. He was going to have to try and find his way, you know, and he could argue he didn't have all the players he wanted. I don't think that's an excuse he could, or any of the people at Arsenal could say this year, because the players have been brought in. It looks like a good enough squad, certainly on paper, to get there. So we have to get there.
Yeah. Well, if you want some respite from current Arsenal dealings, there's actually a new podcast coming out. We have to promote it on the show because me and Johnny are here together and we're part of the podcast.
He's smiling now.
Well, the nice thing about the podcast is, as I say, it's me, Johnny and Jeremy Aliadier. It's called Arsenal Nation, the podcast. And essentially, we talk with ex-players or we haven't had any current players yet, but we're on the work to get some. And we talk about stories like in the dressing room, behind the scenes. So it's not about the results. So, you know, you can get a little bit of a respite, a little bit of a break from, you know, the relentless slog of having to deal with a defeat against Leicester. Nigel, do you fancy coming on the podcast at some point?
You said current players.
No.
I told you I'll be there for the first one to have a listen. No charge. I'll have a little listen to see how the banter goes, to see whether I'll be interested in coming on.
Right. Okay. So he's not too keen to come on right away. Well, we're going to be doing a live one actually in Camden Brewery with Lee Dixon, who played on the opposite side to you.
That sounds all right. Camden Brewery.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, if you're up for it, mate, get down. You want to come down?
Well, I'll wait.
You don't want to commit to it, does he?
Well, when's the first one? You haven't even told me when the first one's coming out.
It's going to be out next week, so you can subscribe to it already on Acast and Spotify, iTunes. There's some stuff happening, but it should be on iTunes as well at some point. But we're just getting dotting the I's and crossing the T's, getting that sorted. But next week, the podcast will be out. And Nigel, you're going to listen to it, and then we're going to convince you to come on.
I'll give you a mark out of 10.
Then we won't want you on there after that when we get our mark.
Say, that's pretty scary. Right, before we go, I've got to get a one-word sign-off from you both. We do this every time we sign off on Arsenal Nation Live. Johnny kind of made a grimace face, so I don't really know what he's going to say. Go for it, though.
I hate to think.
Do you know, it's more sad than anything. I'd say expected. That's the thing. I thought this was going to happen, and it has. Sad.
Nigel?
I'm going to say sorry.
As in, you're sorry. You're sorry for not committing to the podcast, or
no? Just sorry to all our fans out there for what's happening at the moment, and hopefully we can be talking about some better times ahead. But I find it difficult at the moment.
Yeah. I guess the bright side for me and you, Johnny, is hopefully if we're still doing the podcast in, say, 20 years' time, which I completely hope we are, we'll have some good stories to tell. Good stories to tell from around this time. Eh?
We certainly will. Yeah, some talking points.
Right, Johnny, Nigel, thank you very much for coming on, as always. Nigel, we'll see you at Camden Brewery for the live recording of Arsenal Nation Live. I'm going to get you there, I promise.
We'll see. The door.
We need you there. Yeah. We're sitting at the bar and everything.
If I'm free, I'll turn up.
All right, yeah, he's committed to it now. We got him, guys. Come on. Right, thank you for watching Arsenal Nation Live. We'll be back next week for the Southampton game when we welcome them here at the Emirates. Join us from around 2 p.m. on Arsenal Player. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.